Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening. The last one of 2023.
Yeah,
Not the last evening, but the last episode.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess it depends on when somebody listens. They might listen to this. It might be the last night of.
Yeah, you're right. They may listen to this on New Year's Eve while they're taking their lady friend, or if our lady listeners maybe taking their on the ride out to eat.
Yep.
Great
Maybe
great listening. You know, when you're in the car with your loved ones.
That would. I was trying to catch up because I told Bobby Lee I dropped the ball a little bit this week. I was supposed to go back and listen to from the last New Year of our goals and see where I did. I did not get around to doing it. I was actually doing it when me and the kids were going to eat, and Levi was like, "Why are we listening to this?" And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "It's boring. It's just people talking." And I was like, "Okay," so I turned it off.
You got to write your goals down this go around. That way you've got them.
I do need to.
Yeah.
Well, I told you I made a 5-page projection plan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess I somewhat did.
Well, you need just like your bullet points. And I need to come up with a way, like, I don't know if I'm going to get like a professional poster made or anything, but where I
can like have it up.
have goals like every day. You know, I look at it.
Yeah.
And I see, that's my goal.
Yeah. Well, I did in some of what I did listen to. Well, first, before we get too deep into it, you guys need to do a few things. First, hit that like button, hit subscribe, share this with your friends, leave us a rating and review, and go to agzaga.com. Get yourself anything you need, bale wrap, toys. Use the code TALKDIRT, all one word, all caps. Save yourself 10%. And I guess still get free shipping, I believe.
Yeah, I think you may get that through the end of the month. Not 100% certain. Yeah.
So,
and hey, you know, all the toys, you might want to stock up. Go ahead and have them
for next year.
Or hey, kids have birthdays coming up, whatnot too. It's never a wrong time to give a farm toy as a gift.
That's right. That's right.
Even to maybe an adult in your life. You know?
Yeah. Well, and submit your questions to us as well at talkdirtpodcast.com. I got some listener questions where, you know, I like to kind of let them build up, and then we can kind of do some Q&A type episodes. So we've got some. If you've got a burning question, send them in because we got enough just about to probably do an entire episode on them again. So submit your questions to us. Any question. There is no dumb question. Send them in.
No dumb questions, only dumb people.
That's right. That's right. What were we just talking about? I've done got all sidetracked. One of the things I did listen to, and I don't remember if it was part 1 or part 2 of the goals, was talking about the benefit of a dry erase board. Like when you work out, if you write down, for me, I got a dry erase board in our weight room, and I write down the workout. And when I complete like one of the supersets, like it just feels good to erase it.
Oh yeah,
because it's checking the box. And so yeah, I think it would be actually pretty cool to make like some sort of, like you said, almost just a poster board where you could, if you hit a goal, you could check it off or something.
That's what I love about having a to-do list. I've got one just in my phone.
Yeah,
on my little list app. I keep this little square piece of paper, scrap paper that. Like for the day, and it's great. Because I'm bad about it. If I got more than 3 or 4 things to do, I feel like I have 300 or 400 things to do.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
And once I'm scratching things off, I'm like, oh, okay, it's noon, and I've only got one thing that I haven't checked off the list.
Yeah, so kind of gives you a little breathing room.
Yeah, you're like, okay, you know, and it just feels good to scratch something off the list.
Yeah, that is true. All right, well then, what would be? I mean, if you were going to do a daily one, what would be your daily to-do list?
Oh.
Or like check goal list, like you're going to have a daily one every day.
Like on a day-to-day, like, yeah, my goals are just to get
sex first thing in the morning.
I mean, that is always a goal. But then I'm going to start off every day as a failure.
That's true. You want good, accomplishable goals to start the morning.
Well, that was one thing. Like, and as we get into my goals that I had for this past year or this year that we're still currently in, and I look at them, I'm like, I'm just such a failure. like you want to set a goal out there, the whole aim for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
Yeah. Yep.
The motivational poster that was
That's
on
right.
the wall in your third grade classroom or whatever.
Yeah.
But like as I look back, maybe I'm making kind of some excuses for how I didn't hit some of the goals this year. Some of them just weren't realistic. We'll get into more details here in a minute, but yeah, it's like, oh yeah, like that probably was a little too lofty in hindsight.
Dang, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and listen because, like I said, I can't remember what they were.
It was great, but wow, it was like, man, that was a really high goal.
Yeah.
And I didn't come close on at least one of them. But,
All right, well then let's roll into it.
so one of the ones I had for this year was to have fed less than 20% of this winter's hay by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So by January 1, what as we sit here recording, 5 more days. And I had set that goal for 20% because last year, as we sat here at this time, I'd only fed like 16%.
Yeah.
Which was ridiculously low.
Yeah.
We traditionally, I don't know, a lot of times we're feeding hay in November, even early November we were this year because we got so dry in the fall. But last year I had some really unique circumstances where I wasn't like really feeding hay full time until January. And that just, that is not going to happen very often at all for a variety of reasons. And so, I put that goal at 20%. I am roughly at 50%.
Okay.
So I fed basically half of my hay as we sit here right now.
Yeah. I figured it after the dry harvest season and just that time frame was so dry, I was curious what percentage you were going to drop.
Well, so as I make excuses for why I didn't hit it, we had a really dry fall, and so our fall grazing played out earlier than I would have liked.
Yeah.
2, which kind of get into my second part of the goal, the heifers, the bred heifers that I was selling, they did not all finally leave the farm until, not even a week ago.
Okay.
It was the 23rd. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, they were eating. They were a big part of that hay consumption. 2, I didn't put up quite as much hay as I could have. And kind of what I'm going to do better for this year is, like I said last year, just good forage management, be aggressive in rotating pastures, fertilizing, at opportune times. Same thing on the hay, increase my hay production by being more aggressive with fertilizing, which I picked up some hay ground for 23 that I didn't know I was going to have when we set these goals last year. So, man, if I hadn't picked up that ground,
would it be about 60% or something?
Oh gosh, I'd probably be way more than that.
Really?
Because then I lost a little hay ground, but I picked up a lot more than I lost. I still got a couple of places, which our buddy Luke that had mentioned, he might have a few acres. And then there's another place or two that I just need to approach the landowner because they just mow it.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I'd be happy to mow that and bale it for you, if I could just have the hay or work out something where, with you to do that and just put up more hay. Because I think I had right at 350 rolls going into this winter. They're going into this hay feeding season. And I'd like to be, I can go ahead and write that down as a goal. Put up at least 400 rolls of hay. Go ahead and put a hard number on it.
Yeah.
So put up more hay. Also just have my pastures managed as intensely as I can. And, just delay the hay feeding as long as possible and then have more hay available whenever it does come time for that.
Gotcha. All right.
But so the second goal I had was I was pretty much decided that we were going to do the heifers this year, and we did.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a 90% conception rate, which was lofty. For anybody that followed along my YouTube or probably listened to us talk about it here, I had loads of problems with the bulls. 60-day calving, or breeding season, and then, translate to a 60-day calving season. I had the young bull got roughed up by the older bull. I was like, okay, that's fine. The older bull still, he's the one that's really going to be the workhorse when it comes to getting the breeding done. Yeah. Well, then he ruined his penis.
And so stepped on his dick.
I don't know what he did, but he ruined it. So then I had about a week, or it was a solid week, where there was no bulls even on the property with them because I moved the younger bull home to just kind of nurse him back a little bit, just basically kept him up, didn't do anything special. But then, the other bull, once he had the penis injury, then I had to get him out of there because he couldn't do any breeding anyway.
Yeah.
And so,
was he still trying with like a broke wiener?
I'm sure he would have been. I mean, yeah, you know how it's the most powerful thing in the world. I'm sure if one was in heat, he was going to still get wound up over her. But so with that, and then once I had the younger bull back out there, because he was in good enough shape to breed, but he wasn't in prime breeding condition. So we ended up with, of the heifers I bought, which is 30 head, 21 of them were bred. So that's 70%. So
gotcha.
It was not catastrophic. Like I was going into preg checking them because knowing all the problems I'd had, I forget what number in my head. I was like, I got to have at least this many bred. And we were right there at it. And luckily I had some homegrown heifers that were also, Angus. So I was able to sell them along with those purchased heifers. So my other goal was to have them sold by December 15th, which I'm going to go ahead and say I hit that goal because even though the last 14 didn't leave until, I guess, the 23rd, so I missed that by a week, they were sold.
You just had not picked them up at that point.
He had even already paid me for them. He just hadn't physically picked them up yet. So, did all right on the heifers, and I hadn't put full pencil to everything to see how we came out, but knowing just what I paid for them and what I sold them for, we did all right.
Yeah.
We still made a little money. What kind of made it a little not disappointing, but my brother on the steers did extremely well this year. And to know that I could have probably been just as profitable on steers, maybe even more so, because you would have had a little less input with them because you didn't have to buy the bull.
Yeah.
Didn't have all the extra work of having to put the bulls in, take the bulls out, preg check them, and then all the marketing, listing them here and there on the internet, taking phone calls, trying to get them sold, that sort of stuff, which I don't figure in my time, in my cost.
Me either. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have this year, and that's where I pretty much 100% decided I'm going to go back to steers, just background steers. Even though the last gentleman that bought those heifers from me, he's kind of building up. I think he's essentially kind of retiring, kind of getting back to the farm and wanting to get a cow herd, built up. It's about a third of the way to the number he wants. He's like, man, if you're going to do this again next year, it's like, I'll go ahead and agree to, I'd like to buy them.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that does kind of tempt me, but, and that was one big factor, was just getting rid of them. That's the nice thing about steers. You just call a truck and they're gone that week, so, but anyway, moving to, back to probably steers for this year.
Gotcha. So what's your big goals for moving into 24?
So goals for this year, which I guess I'd already mentioned just there.
What's a non-farm goal you got?
Kind of almost. I'd kind of thought about that too. I think, and this is kind of generic, and I need to put more thought into actually making a hard, goal for it, but just spending more time with the kids.
Yeah.
Which I coach a T-ball team, I'm, the vast majority of my daughter's games I'm at, horse shows, stuff like that. But I still miss some things just because I got other stuff going on. I'm busy, especially if I don't want the farm pulling me away from them. Because, at the end of the day, the farm's not my bread and butter. I make my money in the veterinary clinic. And so I don't want my side hustle taken away from the family because I don't have that many more years with the kids in the household.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. And so, we inevitably miss a ball game here or there just because, sometimes both kids have something going on. So I don't want to say I'm not going to miss any ball games because sometimes I have to miss one's games to be at the other one's games or whatever. Or I'm out of town, for something that, work related or whatever, but not letting the farm pull me away from, making it to a ball tournament or a horse show.
Yeah. Man, I actually think that's a pretty. I mean, obviously, I think that's a good one because, man, I know some guys that are farmers, and like, I mean, that's all I do. And so like, I kind of say that gives me some flexibility.
Yeah.
When like, I don't have to show up for a client. Like there's nobody relying on me to show up. I mean, if I don't show up and do the work, then the work just don't get done. But on the same hand, like, yeah, if Emerson or Levi has a basketball game or, something at school, like I can usually carve the time out to go. And I do know some guys that are full-time farmers that they just don't. And it's like, man, you could definitely go. So no, I think that's a good one because I think farming can consume you if you let it.
You're right. And I've seen people like on social media, that will make that point. Oh, look, there's the crop will be there when you get back home.
Yeah.
If you don't miss family vacation but at the same time, when that is your sole, I mean, I know obviously your wife works, but you specifically, I mean, that is your sole income, your job.
Yeah.
Right. I could see.
I miss lake. I don't go to the lake. They do go to the lake, and I don't ever go. But I'll tell you, I'm not making that a goal of 24 because
not miss any lake trips.
Yeah, like that's just not. It falls at a bad time, and I mean my wife understands that. So I do miss the lake trips, but I also, to be honest with you, I don't care about going to the lake.
Well, and which this, but my wife, or I guess we are putting in a swimming pool now. That was her thing, which. I was never like, no, we're not putting in a pool, but I was like, man, it's a big expense. And it's an ongoing expense, and and just the maintenance upkeep. I don't need anything else to have to take care of. But she makes points like, look, we don't ever get away. Like, we don't have a lake house or where we can get away for long weekends all the time. Because, it's always when the weather's nice. When you want to be at the lake, well, that's when you need to be in the hayfield.
Yep.
And things like that. So, she's like, basically, it's this way we can, we've got, essentially the lake right here.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So, the closer we get to spring and like, it's coming along. It ain't nowhere near done, but like, what that is going to be nice. To be able to, come in out of the hayfield, at 5 o'clock in the evening, get the tractor parked and just immediately go.
Jump in the pool.
Into my swimming shorts and dive right in and fire up the grill, hang out, have a good, several hours of family time in the evenings, and we can do that 7 nights a week if we want to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good goal, like say kind of non-farm goal. So what else you got?
So, sticking with ones I had for this year, and that 20% number I had for the hay fed.
Are you putting that back up again?
Well, not that number, but I'm at 50%. I said, all right, we're going to split the difference. I'm going to go for 35%.
Okay.
By the end of the year, hay feeding for the 24 to 25 hay season. But by January 1 to 24, I would have only gone through 35% of that hay stock. I think that's doable. Like I say, I'm not going to have all the heifers to feed, because we started feeding hay. I didn't bring basically might as well say November 1. I pretty much was at the point then where, they were relying on the hay. There was still a little grazing they were picking around on.
Yeah.
Man, like I say, last year was basically, we were nearly in January before I was really feeding hay. And I'd say like really feeding hay by December the 1st. That's a good date to put on it. But I like that 35% or less at the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it sounds good.
Well, and on the steer, I said, if I'm going back to the steers, the goal I had for them, I guess 2, death loss as low as possible. We're going to buy about 50 steers to run with our homegrown ones. I said less than 2% death loss. That'd be basically allowing for 1, which we've done better. I mean, we've had years where we had 0.
I was going to say, that sounds like, I feel like that's doable. I mean, it's kind of can be out of your control.
Right.
But
sometimes just freak things happen. So setting a goal of 0 is tough.
Yeah.
So I just went ahead and said 2, basically if we lose 1, we can stomach that. and I'd like for them to have an average daily gain of 1.75 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's, that's just on grass. We don't, that's just our, fescue, and some warm season mixes.
Yeah.
Supplement them with a very little feed. I mean, very little, just some come here feed, basically what we call it. Just keep them coming to a feed bunk. But, those are the basic goals. Put up 400 rolls of hay, and then kind of a extension of that, have less than 35% of it fed by the end of the year. 2% death loss or less, and then an average daily gain of 1.75 pounds.
All right. That sounds like pretty good goals to me.
Yeah, I think those are those are lofty. Like I was talking to my brother, that's a little better average daily gain than he had this year. Like I say, you want the goal
You
where
gotta
you
stretch yourself
really
a little
reach
bit.
out there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like the specifics. I think.
yeah.
I think it helps to
doesn't
be
need
specific.
I just need to do a better job.
Yeah.
Getting the hay
I
done.
want to put more weight on them this year than last. Like that's. I think if you're gonna do some goals, I feel like specifics matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
All right. Well, good. Well, like I said, I did drop the ball. I know the avenue some of my goals were in, and the big one obviously is going to be revolving around the farm store. And I don't remember if I was planning to have the farm store up and rolling by this season, but that did not happen. We did sell. I will say we did sell sweet corn there. I just had the doors open. People came. So we sold sweet corn out of it, and I sold just very few pumpkins. But we did some trial runs out there. But it got finished pretty late in the season, so I was like, we ain't going to open it at this point. But I don't remember any specific goals I had on it.
So are you going to have a wider range of produce this year? Is that the plan?
So kind of the goals for the store going into this coming year, I already have a lot of seed in now. We'll start it actually in February. We're going to start it in the store, kind of let it essentially be our little greenhouse to an extent. I've got a lot of tomatoes. I've got a lot of watermelons. I've got a lot of seed. I got like 50 different things of seed, of varieties of different produce and everything else. I got like 5 varieties of tomatoes. And we're just the first couple of years is going to be very experimental. Like I'm going to try some of these heirloom type like seeds. I've got one variety of tomato. And it may not be, because you got to figure out, it's got to be a variety that's scalable, because some of these I order them through Burpee, a lot of them, and they sell to commercial. But they also do have the little like like small scale that you would just plant in your backyard. And I I bought some called the Steakhouse. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Man, it said they could be 3 pounds. Now, I don't know if they'll reach that, but could you imagine a damn 3-pound tomato?
That's a lot of ketchup.
That is a lot of
I mean,
ketchup.
I say that. I don't know how much.
Yeah.
It probably really doesn't make that much ketchup.
Probably not. But like, and I told my wife a couple of the things we want to do. We want to move. One, we want to have the produce. Basically, our plan is to have a in-season fresh grocery store grown local. I want it to be grown locally because, look, there's people around here. You can go buy Sugar Baby watermelons when they're in season around here, and they're grown in Missouri. And I have Sugar Baby watermelon seed now. And so I'm going to do my best to grow the Sugar Babies. Sugar Babies are like, that's what people really like. They got the dark, like they're really dark green. I think they're seedless. And everybody raves about the Sugar Babies. I've got the Sugar Babies, and my plan is to grow those here. And man, my kind of weapon or my pushback against, I guess, my competition is going to be the fact that ours is grown here. Like when you come to the store, you can like look out beside the store and be like, well, hell, there's a patch right there. Like you can see where it comes from. Hell, if you wanted to, you can go pick you one out of the field. So it's going to be very locally grown, fresh. But I want to have a lot of canned goods as well. And that's where, I mean, the one thing I did think about, man, a 3-pound tomato, assuming it has a good taste and it's supposed to have a really good taste, Man, I feel like you could make quite a bit of tomato juice and salsa and stuff out of a big giant tomato.
If you do that, does it have to have any sort of like inspection or anything to it?
Not that I know of, because it's not like a refrigerated item. Like it just can. Now, when you get into like beef, obviously, you got all those regulations, but I don't think that you do on like hot sauce, salsa, tomato juice, things like that.
Okay.
But that is a goal there. What was the other one? And I got several in there, but that's our big thing is going to be to get canned goods kind of ready and to have the produce. Our plan's probably going to be to open around late spring, early summer.
Yep.
With the store, because I got to have produce in. I mean, I can't open the store with nothing in there.
Yeah.
So,
you have Christmas trees?
we're going to bring some in. I'm not going to grow them.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I got to
I
find.
think that's totally acceptable to. I mean, 'cause you can bring in other products that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be everything grown right there.
And I wish it was. Like, it'd be cool. That'd be really cool. But like, man, I don't care about being a Christmas tree farmer.
No. Yeah.
There used to be one on Holly Grove Road or Indian Creek. It was right off of Holly Grove. And
there used to be a few around here. I remember going to them like on field trips.
yeah. But now I'm planning to bring some in. And we're really like, I don't want it to just be like a store you go and grocery store. Like, it's very much we're wanting to get it heavily into the agritourism realm. And, I have some very long-term goals. Like, I've got one goal that's probably like, assuming I live plenty of time. There's a part of me that's like, in 15 years, I would love to have a whiskey distillery on the place. Like I know you've been to Gatlinburg. You've been to the Apple Barn. Have you been there?
I think I have.
Man, it's like, it is. They've got a restaurant there. It's a huge apple orchard. They got this big restaurant. They got a winery there, and it's like several big buildings. And but it's on the where the orchard and everything is. The restaurant there uses their fresh apples. They got fresh apple fritters that are awesome and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's kind of like almost my vision.
Yeah.
Like something like that where, I don't know why somebody would, I love where I live, but like, I don't know, that's like a travel destination, but like if somebody was going to travel here, they'd be like, oh, well, we got to drive to the Little Blue Farm Store and get us some of their, eat the breakfast there with the fresh produce, or we got to get us a bottle of bourbon there.
And you need just, I know you're planning to build a home of your own, but then you could have like a little Airbnb type home on it. People come out,
that's what the
little taste of the farm life.
The right side of it is, that's one of my plans, to put some small, like mini cabins almost on there.
Yeah. And
kind of tuck them. You could even kind of tuck some of them in the woods.
Yeah.
And then have maybe some kind of in the fields. But like, that's what I've told my wife. I'm like, we definitely need to visit the idea of throwing a few Airbnbs up on this thing.
Well, I've heard of, just listening to different podcasts, whatnot, and interviewing people that have taken like a farm or a ranch, and somewhere where, they need another source of revenue, and they put like a big pavilion for like weddings or events. Actually, a place just around the corner from my house. They've kind of done that. And when you hear people talk, those wedding venues rent for just stupid money. And of course, it's probably only for like one night a week, but they're booked, some of them a year in advance.
Yeah.
For stuff like that. Then you could have like a place to stay right there on the property. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's all kinds of goals. And I've looked at, different places. Like I'll be out clipping pasture or something, be like, man, this would be a beautiful place to put up just like a little, cabin more or less. And,
And it doesn't have to be extravagant. Like, cause I feel like part of the allure is that you're going to kind of be rustic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
well, and you could put a little place up there. And I don't know.
You got to shit in a hole in the floor.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Yep. You gotta cover it up when you get done. But now, and just, it doesn't have to stay booked, 300 nights out of the year, but heck, a lot of those places, you just got somebody coming and staying in it 2 or 3 times a month, for 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah.
That might be enough to pay the mortgage on it or the note.
Well, and that's what, like, we have some ideas, and I don't want to give all of them away, but we got like one that kind of in the fall I really want to do, because for more context for people that don't know, like the location the store is on it's 200-acre farm that I got, and we're building in the far back corner back up in there. So I mean we're pretty good ways away, and most of what I would want to do is going to go to the right, like it's going to go away. Like we'll pretty much we got about a 25-acre area that we're in that I don't plan on doing. I actually think I might put cattle on that farm up there, just in that area. I'll have to fence it in, obviously, but like that's kind of my plan. So it would stay kind of secluded, but in the fall, I told my wife I think it'd be cool, because I feel like there is this movement where people are wanting to we're in such a digital age that a lot of people, at times, they want to escape the digital age. And
Right.
So I told her, I said, I almost think it would be cool to set up like bonfire sites kind of around. And in the fall, we could, up there at the store, we can have like s'more kits. And that's what she was like, she's the one, she said, we could do s'more kits as well. People come up, buy their s'more kits, maybe buy them some hot chocolate, and essentially have enough bonfire sites set up. People basically just rent the bonfire site for like that night. Call it like fall, like whatever, fall on the farm or fall nights at the farm, whatever you want to call it. But they come out starting at a certain time, and they just can enjoy themselves, hang out at the bonfire, and there'd be s'mores or stuff. They want to cook hot dogs over the fire. I mean, I think it's just endless, like what all can be done.
Yeah.
So really just my heavy focus is going to be really cracking down on the farm store for 24. But on the on the row crop sector, I know I did have some cover crop goals. I don't remember what they were, but I did greatly increase what fields are in cover crop for this next year. And I'm pretty sure it was mainly just increasing the amount of cover crop acres that I had. And I did that. I've added several more farms to my cover crop route. And I planted, I don't remember if I had a green plant thing, but I planted 90% of my beans green. I'm actually going to have to back off of that some for next year, because I'm pretty sure that actually caused some chemical damage on like 2 of my fields that I had a pretty good hit to the yield on. But that's just a fact of trying to figure out what I need to put down. Because I planted green on, like I said, 90% of my acres. One of the fields that I planted green, the beans cut almost 70 bushel an acre. So, I mean, it did not affect the yield on those. But I had one field in particular that the beans were awful. Like, they were bad. And they were like, they kind of think that it was so much like heavy residual still that it like really damaged the beans. It's the only thing we can kind of come up with. So I might have to experiment with that. But my big goals, I guess, moving forward on that is, so this year I shared, this year was relatively tough for me financially. I did feel better. I've talked to several guys that said this year was awful for them on the row crop side, in terms of making money. Bad thing is they all made pretty good yields, but the costs were so tremendous that they didn't make any money.
Right.
And it made me feel a lot better because I did not make any money. And so I was like, gosh. But, and I talked to a guy little teaser for y'all, he's going to be coming on the show probably next week.
Yeah.
He is in the crop insurance side of things, and he told me that he's talked to about probably 11 different guys now that all said they lost money just about this year. So I felt better there, but it has kind of made me evaluate because, all right, like I kind of feel like I'm a fairly good businessman, and in the world of business, you can't lose money. Like I mean, it happens sometimes, but you can't consistently lose money.
No, yeah.
It's a poor business.
I mean, unless you're, just independently wealthy and looking for tax write-offs.
Yes,
And
yeah.
you've already retired from your first career. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And I have certainly not done that. And I want to continue to be a farmer, so I can't continue to lose money. So one of my big things is, and I've shared on here about my equipment costs, this is really putting a hurt on me. So one of my goals for going into 2024, or by the end of 2024, is to have my equipment cost between $50 and $60 per acre. That's my aim, and it's way more than that right now. And that's why I'm selling a few things. I mean, I'm trying to think of what can I cut out without hurting my efficiency as an operation. And so $50 to $60 per acre on my equipment costs. And then on my beans, I'm even going like my inputs here. On my beans, I want to shoot for $200 an acre or less inputs. Now, I've always figured about $275, but I'm going to say this year I want $200 an acre or less input cost on those. And I'm going to have very little corn. Like I'm going to really dial back the corn acres just because 2024, I want it to be a pretty lean year for me. And corn is substantially more expensive to grow. But so I have not set a number on the corn because I got to crunch more numbers on the corn to try to figure out what price point I would want to try to stay under. But $200 an acre or less input on the beans, $50 to $60 an acre on the equipment costs. And really just, I mean, this part is a generic one, but I've got to just really keep a tighter watch. And honestly, making the projection plan was kind of a goal of mine, and I've already done that. I went ahead and I literally did a 5-page projection plan of every expense I had, and that's actually what helped me figure out what can I cut out to get to this $50 to $60 an acre range on the equipment. So that's kind of mine in a nutshell. Trying to think too on the row crop side. Man, I mean, my Bolton farm out there is still just a bleeding expense, which both of my track hoes are currently broke down. So I have to fix one track hoe in order to fix the other track hoe because I need the other track hoe to take a cylinder off of the other one. And then I'm actually going to sell one of the track hoes. Like that's going to be one of my ways. I'm going to sell one track hoe and I'm going to use that to pay off a couple of pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut down on that. And, hey, it's like, I'm a guy, like, I don't know if you're this way, but like I get like attached to my stuff, like my equipment. Like it's like, man, that's my track hoe or that's my tractor and stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what, I traded tractors a week or two ago, and that was kind of it's like, oh man, yeah, even if you're like in that case, I was literally trading, and so I mean, I was, sitting on that new one makes it, eases that sting quite a bit. But still, it's like, man, that tractor, I remember, the first of this I did on that tractor,
Yeah, first joint I smoked in there.
The first, when I got baler and I first started baling my own hay, it was sitting in that tractor right there. And that tractor's gone, gone. So
well, I'm gonna be, my 7140 sells tomorrow. Like I told Bobby Lee that earlier. The auction.
I'll get on there and bid on it.
Get on there and run the bid up for me.
Is it on auction time? No.
Big Iron.
Big Iron.
Yeah.
I don't have an account with them.
It's pretty easy to set up.
Okay.
But it sells tomorrow. I'm at this point I've like removed expectation because I'm kind of pulling a Homer Simpson here. Like he says, if you have no expectations, then you're never disappointed. So I just have no expectations on it, and I need it to do well. But I'm at this point I'm like, with the way 23 went financially, I don't have any expectations, and but I'll be sad to see it go. I sold the black Peterbilt. Honestly, like I was a little bummed to see it go, but honestly, I hate to see the tractor go more because the Peterbilt was just kind of an extra truck. But that tractor, there is things that I could use it for. Like I would use it way more than I would have ever used the Peterbilt. And it's just a tractor. Like, I'm just more,
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I do love semi trucks and I love hauling heavy equipment on them. Like, I've told Marcy, I'm like, I told her one time, I was like, if something ever really went bad, I'd sell everything I had except for my detached trailer and probably the purple truck. And I would just start hauling heavy machinery because I like it, man. I just enjoy it. But as much as I love that, there's still something about a tractor, man. I just like a tractor.
Yeah.
And that red one, it's a hoss. Like it's a bad dude. So by the time y'all are listening to this, old red will have been sold. So I had a guy call from Nebraska tonight about it when we were eating dinner, wanting to know about it. So, but I the way I look at it, and this is what Marcy said, she was like, she said, you ride it out right now, get the costs down. Thing about it is, farming is something I hope to continue to do. I mean, essentially all my life. So at some point in time, hopefully, maybe I'll get the opportunity to buy another bad bone truck. Maybe I'll get, if I keep farming, I'm inevitably going to need another tractor. So like there will be another tractor come along. More than likely it'll be a nicer tractor. And like, so, it's temporary pains to like keep the operation flowing smoothly. It's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
So, but biggest thing, 2024 has got to be lean. I got to lean out a lot. I got lax, and that's where I've seen this happen to the guys before. Like they have some good years, and they get comfortable, and then they like spend probably more money here, more money there, and then at the end of the year they're like, whoa! And so, luckily, I am able to weather the storm and keep on trucking. So.
Well, that's most successful people, farming or any other, industry. When you hear their story, like that they've had those times.
Yeah.
When things, they may have had to declare bankruptcy, and
Yeah.
that you learn a lot more from your failures than you do your successes. And
Yes.
So, and if you're never failing, and maybe failing's too strong of a word. But if you're never running into those tougher times, you're probably not really
Sticking your neck out there.
You're not taking any risk. You're not being too aggressive with much of anything. So
yeah. Well, and that's what man, I've said it on here before, but my motto, man, is kind of, man, you got to risk it for the biscuit.
Oh, yeah.
And like that's kind of that's just how I like to roll. And that's what I told my wife. I said at the end of the day, nobody's going to put a gun to my head or gun to my wife and kids' heads because of any financial issue, because I'm not taking any money out with like mobsters.
so you're not doing anything with the cartel.
No, I haven't called Ed to get me lined out with any of those guys. So,
although the cash could be good in some of those,
it might be worth checking. I don't know what kind of interest rate those guys run.
Yeah, I don't think you probably want to owe them money at all.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. But, I don't know, that my big thing is I want to get diverse enough. And I feel like we're doing this here. Like, even with this podcast, this is another element in there. Like, I want to diversify enough to where I'm not all relying on commodity markets on row crops. Like that's, as much as I do enjoy, I can't imagine having a different job, but like there's elements that I envy to I envy the fact that, you've got a business that's not relying on ag. Like you can
man, it all relies on that.
Well, I was going to say, if you eat, it involves agriculture, is old bumper sticker.
Yeah.
But like I envy that. Because to me, that also gives you a little bit of extra. To me, that kind of gives you almost a little extra freedom on the farm. Because
it's what gives me every bit of my freedom.
Yeah,
like the only way I'm able to farm and do as I do is because, the veterinary business does pretty well, and my wife works hard as well, and we have income that we can invest in stuff on the farm, and the farm makes us money, except that yeah, pretty much everything the farm makes, I dump right back into it.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to make my spending money on the farm.
Yeah.
Thankfully, if it pays for itself and at the same time allows me to, buy some more toys that I have more fun with and,
Yep.
and stuff like that. Cause I do enjoy it. I wouldn't be farming if I didn't enjoy it because again, just like we just said, I make my money,
Yeah.
working on dogs and kitty cats and if I make a little extra spending money on the farm and acquire some land, raise the kids up in that kind of lifestyle and
Yep.
just get out there and relieve my stress, different types of stress, but it's that's the benefit, kind of the I can't put a dollar value on a lot of those things that I get off the farm.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, that's what and that's one of the things with, I feel like even the farm store that I felt kind of one of the things that's drawn me to that. With row cropping, I love row cropping. I love row cropping because one, I love the equipment. Like I love the big combines. I'm still very much like that inner kid in me loves the big bad machinery.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I feel like any dude that's a row crop farmer pretty much has to admit, like, there's something, I mean, you got a 600 horsepower combine. Like, you just feel like a beast in this combine.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And, like, you meet cars, and they don't want to get over on the road for you. And you're like, I could crush you. Like, I could just crush you in this thing.
Maybe a little road rage in there.
Yes. But, like, so the machinery very much draws me to that. And then it's just something cool about, if I tweak this, if I try this method, what kind of reaction will I get from the beans? What kind of reaction will I get from the corn? How will they differ and grow? But the part that kind of sucks is, one, it's a very lonely venture. And I'm a people guy. Like, I like people. I enjoy talking to people. But you're very much alone most of the time. Like, I'm in a combine for hours, or I'm in a tractor for hours, and oftentimes in the middle of like nowhere, like I'm away. And I've always said one of the things I missed about the shop was the people, man. People used to come in and we'd talk to them in the shop, and I didn't appreciate it as much as a kid as I do as a grown man now. But like when we were putting in the farm store, man, it was completed, and I was standing in the parking lot, and it was like, I don't remember, 6:00 in the afternoon. It was warmer still, so the sun, it wasn't when it gets dark at 4:00. But I was just looking around. I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, this is a place, like, I can see the benefits of what I'm doing, because people will be coming and they'll be enjoying when people eat the sweet corn and they come back and they're like, the same person comes back and buys more, and they're like, man, that's the best sweet corn I've ever had. Like, Cargill has never called me and been like, that load of corn you just brought, that's the best damn corn we've ever received. They're not like, man, whatever you're doing, that corn was great. No, typically they're like, we're going to dock you because there's a little foreign material or the moisture. But it's rewarding, this kind of the front storefront. So in a way, I'm kind of trying to build that, I guess, that brick and mortar thing. I kind of long for that a little bit as well. So I'd like to see that side kind of come to life.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
My off the farm goal, I'd be with you on the kids. And my other one is just a stupid bro goal that I got. I want to bench 405 and I want to squat 405. And that's my goal for the 2024. By the end of 2024, that's where I want to be. Benching
and squatting.
Yeah. Somebody out there is like, you should be squatting more than you bench.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, dang, I'm going to bench 405. You should be squatting 605.
Oh, gosh. Well, I ain't going to go that far. But with the issues I've had in my back, I'm like, if I can throw, because 405, that's 4 plates. I'm like as a kid, I wanted to bench 1 plate on the bench. I remember if I could ever get to 1 plate on each side, I'd be happy.
145?
It was 135.
135,
yeah. Yep. And then you get 1 plate, and then you see these other guys that are older, and they got the 2 plates. And you're like, if I can ever get to 2 plates, that's what I want to get to. You get to 2 plates, and it's like, I got to get to 3. And I got to 3. It's like, all right, now I got to go for 4. And so, and I don't know, I don't think I'm greedy enough. And I think I realize at some point I'm going to hit my limits, but I feel like 405 is in the tank. I don't think if I hit 4 plates, I doubt that I'm ever going to say I need to go for 5.
So, what can you bench today?
I'm probably sitting at around 325 right now.
Okay, so another 80 pounds.
Yeah, and I figure a year, that gives me a year to put 80 pounds on the bench. The needle is going to start moving a lot slower as this, like, I'm still moving the weight pretty good right now, but, you know, as you start getting heavier and heavier, your muscles, you kind of reach those points where you ain't making a 5-pound jump anymore. Like you might be slapping 2.5 pounds on there. So it's going to really slow down, but I'm like, man, I think I can put 80 pounds on my max in a year.
There you go.
So, and 4 plates, man, I don't need to bench 500. I say that. We might be sitting here next year. If I hit 405 and I'm sitting here, I might be like, damn it, I got to go for 5 plates.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of weight to be putting on me. So I don't know. But 405 is the goal.
There you go. I'd argue that. Hey, what bourbon you drinking?
I didn't even tell that. What is it called? Cowboy?
Yeah.
I didn't. It was a gift. It's a gift from a good listener friend of ours, Mr. Tim. Actually, they gave us the gift, I guess, last episode. You were drinking that Yellowstone you had.
I was, yep.
And he gave me this. It's Cowboy something. It's a blended whiskey. It's good. It's a good whiskey. I don't even know. I didn't look at the proof. I just poured it and it tastes good.
Yeah.
What about you?
This is a single barrel Knob Creek.
Okay. I don't drink a lot of Knob Creek.
It was one of our local stores had a barrel that they had selected, and I was kind of just tooling around in there. My wife had sent me in there to get. She wants some champagne to make some mimosas and stuff like that. I'm like, while I'm in here, I'm gonna just browse the bourbons and pick out something.
Yeah.
Try something different. They're like, hey, we got all these barrel selects. We had selected. I was like,
was it over on the table by the office?
This was at South End.
Okay, gotcha.
They had 4 different barrels. I actually picked up a Dickel and a Knob Creek.
What year Dickel?
Ooh, I'd have to look and see.
Was it Blue Label?
Man, it had just like their special hands.
Okay.
Single barrel select.
Gotcha. I was gonna say I'm not a big.
Had like their little private label or whatever, or their
the liquor stores.
Yeah, or it wasn't. I mean, it was a Dickel label, but it was it said hand selected by.
Yeah. If you bought it, did you also get to get another? Did they have the deal? Sometimes they'll have like they'll have Blantons sometimes, but in order to buy the Blantons, you got to buy like a bottle of their vodka or something.
Now not that I know of. Like I said, I bought those two single barrel bottles, and I think my wife wanted some tequila and some champagne. She's like, which champagne do you want? I was like, hell.
I don't know shit about champagne.
They're making I think specifically mimosas, and then they were making some other kind of.
So you need some cheap, shitty champagne, then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was $high stuff or nothing. All the kids, whenever I was opening, I was like, "Y'all come outside and watch this."
Did you pop it? Does it pop pretty good? I've never opened champagne.
I mean, I wasn't shaking it up.
Yeah,
like I just won the Daytona 500.
Man, that'd be cool.
But still, you get the little boop.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
That would be cool.
They thought it was neat.
Yeah.
I did kind of let the cork shoot off so they could.
You didn't kill an owl?
No. Nice hooters.
Nice hooters, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I feel like that's pretty good goals for us going into the year.
Yeah. We got some hard numbers.
I might buy some cows.
There you go.
I probably shouldn't. That'd go against my lean goal.
Yeah.
I got about 8. I need to just get them moved over.
I had some bred heifers.
Yeah.
I may have some more bred heifers, just some of my homegrown ones.
I want some of those longhorns you were talking about.
Well, I've got some that have some pretty good horns on them.
All right. Well, we might have to talk about it.
I've got one in particular that's really gentle. I mean, she really is.
All right.
She's the one that when I'm I can dang near barely get past her with the feed bucket. She is not bred now, but I'm probably gonna have a bull turned in with them here in a couple of weeks to be calving next fall.
All right. Well, we might have to talk about that one.
There we go.
Do you get the company tonight?
I've actually just over the last couple of weeks had numerous companies like come up.
Okay.
Like, things. I'm wearing one tonight, but I'm not going to hit on that one tonight.
Before we do you have any specific goals for the podcast besides putting the commander-in-chief on the button?
Yes.
We've got to do that.
We got to get him on the button. Because I don't see our analytics as closely as you do, or I kind of choose not to.
Yeah.
So I don't know like what our monthly downloads are at right now and all that sort of stuff.
A million.
A million?
Yeah.
I want to be 1.5 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say increase our downloads or whatever by 50%.
Well, that's kind of the number I had.
Maybe even 100%. We're still young enough.
Yeah.
Kind of on my YouTube, which I didn't really like. I'd like to double my YouTube, in the next year. Which, apologies, anybody. I've been, if you're also a watcher of my YouTube, the last couple of weeks with the holidays and everything, I was like, all right, I'm probably just going to get one video out where normally I try to do 2 and sometimes 3. I was off yesterday, weaned calves, had all kinds of good, kind of unique content.
Didn't video it.
I was videoing the whole thing. I get inside and I put my card in the computer and upload it. There's no audio.
I've had to do that on there before.
I don't know if I had a setting on my GoPro, but because I had both GoPros going. But my primary one, there's no audio. Like it's like it's muted.
So are you going to go in there and voice over it?
Oh God, no. I was like, all right, I don't have to. Back to my goal of spending more time with the kids and whatnot. It's like, well, I'm not going to sit in here and edit a YouTube video for an hour. But I put my card back in the GoPro and just like did a test shot of me just sitting there by my computer. Popped it in, audio, everything's fine. I was like, what in the world did I do?
Weird.
So, because I didn't change any setting or anything. Like, and it was everything I filmed because I was cutting it off and on all day long. And, apologies. There will be no video this week. Hurricane Creek Farms YouTube. And it wasn't even just, because some of my videos was like, all right, this is just me doing regular stuff. Like, no.
There was some exciting stuff
using
in
a
there.
new product that I've never used before. And I was like, not a sponsor of me or anything, but like, still be pretty cool to highlight this, talk about how it's going to work.
Yeah.
I talked about all of it. You just can't hear a word.
Can't hear anything.
I thought about just like, I ought to put this one up just to be funny because people are like, you talk too much.
Yeah. I love when
here you go.
I've had people that have commented on there like, you talk too much. And I'm like, how many videos of me just cranking a tractor up and like seeing a tractor drive can you watch? Like there's only so many times if like I can crank a tractor and drive it around.
I know I certainly over-explain things sometimes, but I have a lot of my audience, like, they want more explanation. Like they ask me, so whatever.
Well,
apologies. We'll get 2 videos out next week.
Well, all right. I'm glad you brought that up, and that's exactly my goal with the podcast is to double our numbers by the end of 24.
I was going to say at least 50%, but double. I think double's even better.
And I want us to hit 500 ratings and reviews on Apple Podcast. We're at almost 200. That's pretty easy. I feel like we can get to 500.
There's some of y'all out there listening right now. Stop and do it. We'll be at 225 by then.
I can tell you right now, I don't even have to pull it up right now. We get way more listens than we'd have ratings and reviews. So
some people just won't take the time.
Yeah, and it's on, and I can tell you where you're watching or listening at. I can't tell you who you are and where you're listening, but I can tell the number of downloads from certain apps. And on Apple Podcasts, we have way more than we have ratings and reviews. So my goal is to at least get to 500. And I will say, I don't know if I shared this on here or not, but me and Brandon Lilly made a pact, basically to hold each other accountable. Starting, I guess, in January, we didn't really set a starting point. We set in the next year. So I would say January of 24. We both have to put up 1 video per week on our YouTube channels because he's got a YouTube channel as well. Like Brandon Lilly, he's a buddy of mine, he's in the strength world, and now he's really big into the outdoor world. So he's got a YouTube channel he's going to work on. And so LH Farms has been sporadic, but we've made like a pact. So I have to upload 1 video per week for the entire duration of 2024. So
there you go.
That's kind of my goals.
Good deal.
Start off with 2 words. Made in America.
All right.
Okay, so company, and I should, this is another one been using their products for a long time. Recently just visited their, I guess their headquarters, their manufacturing facility, everything. And it's Allen Gate and Panel.
Okay.
Over they're in Prattsville, Arkansas, which
Yeah.
I think Prattsville, when you pull into it, it's like population like 220.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty much, I think Allen Gate and Panel
Is the majority of the people
is
there?
Prattsville,
Yeah.
Arkansas, but they manufacture all kinds of livestock equipment. A lot of gates and panels, as the name kind of implies.
Yeah. That's shocking.
And they sell a lot of like, I guess, wholesale,
Yeah.
to retailers everywhere else. Because I knew, because I was looking at stuff online, and I've ordered it through other retailers before. And I was asking them, I was like, that's y'all's stuff. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, we sell like at least a truckload a week to that one retailer.
Really?
And actually, it almost indicated, he said they're still doing retail sales right there out of their Prattsville location.
Yeah.
Right now, but acted like they might even stop doing retail sales.
Gotcha.
In the near future. Don't want to speak for them, but yeah, I mean, blue collar, made in USA, like doesn't get.
Man, they got all
more.
kinds of stuff.
Oh, it is an impressive.
They got a sweep tub.
My sweep tub. I have two.
Oh, is that what your sweep
I have
tub
two
is?
of theirs.
Oh,
one
man.
on each farm.
I'm gonna tell you, hey, for the cattle guys out there, if you ain't got a sweep tub, you are missing
when it
out,
comes
my
to handling,
friend.
But I've got pretty much my entire paneling system, pins, everything is theirs. I mean, pretty much anything that can be made, that they're already making it. I can almost guarantee you, because there's been some stuff I'm like, oh, I need one of those. I wonder if they already make those. You don't even.
This one looks a lot better than the one we got out here.
That's exactly what I've got.
Man, that one is sharp.
Yeah,
I like that.
They've got all kinds of stuff, but yeah, I needed a few kind of different pieces to finish out
Yeah.
my new setup in my new barn. And we were going over there. It's right outside of Hot Springs, basically.
Yeah.
We were going over there for my wife's birthday anyway. So I was like, well, babe, we're going to drive the truck and I'm going to take a trailer, because we're going to swing through there. Because I only needed, I think it was like $1,400 worth of panels.
Yeah.
And because they will ship, but it was going to cost me like nearly that much to ship it.
And how far of a drive you say it is?
So it's probably 3 hours for us right here. Yeah, Allen Gate and Panel.
Yeah, and they got everything.
You can find them on the internet. If you're putting together a really big order, yeah, it may make sense. Just go ahead and pay them to ship it.
Yeah.
Or they've got retailers all over. Sell their product. You could probably call them and say, hey, is there anybody? Tell them where you are in my general area that handles yours. And if you're somewhere in the southeast, mid-south kind of area, that they probably got somebody relatively nearby.
And tell them Talk Dirt to me sent you there. That's still
They had just acres and acres of different panels. Just
well, that's
everywhere.
I'm
very,
on like
very well organized, because I got like, I don't know, probably a dozen different pieces.
Yeah.
But it was like 8 different things.
They got deer stands,
yeah, anything
that.
that can be
welded metal,
fabricated, like they probably
dog pens,
Yeah.
hay racks. I'm on like a duck blind. I'm on like the 5th or 6th page, and there's 2.
Oh, and they do have a great website, have a good price list. Nothing's, it's like not one of these like call for prices or anything.
Yeah.
But
Hay
huge,
rings.
huge, facility there. But yeah, I was like, man, yeah, that they absolutely need to be on the list.
Yeah, and their price, like you said, the price list is great. There it is. It's all you can think of pretty much right there. Awesome. Well, that's awesome, man. Allen, I'll have to check that out myself. Allen Gate and Panel. All right, just Google Allen Gate and Panel, and you'll find it. While you're Googling, go to agzaga.com. Use that word, Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word.
All one word, just like the president says.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be accurate in how you count them.
That's
But
right.
no, in all seriousness, it is no space,
Yes.
no lowercase.
All cap. 10% off, free shipping, and
Hay season really is getting close. I mean, I know we keep saying that, but like, take advantage of the free shipping.
yeah,
Get the 10% off. You're going to need the net wrap or the twine, for square baling. Get it dropped right off on your front porch or at your farm shop.
Yep.
You ain't got to even drive nowhere to get it. You can't beat that. That's literally unbeatable.
That's right. Well, guys, we hope you guys have an awesome New Year. Hope you had a Merry Christmas, and like I say, a Happy New Year. And hey, we'd love to hear your goals. Shoot us a comment on YouTube, or let us know what you think of our goals. If you think they're too lofty, not lofty enough, share them with us and message us. Let us know what you think. Reach out, talkdirtpodcast.com. Go to the contact page, fill it out. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and on the New Year's thing, y'all be careful out there. I know everybody likes to get out and party and let loose a little bit. You're getting me my age. I hadn't even talked to my wife about it, but I'm hopeful that for New Year's Eve, we maybe throw something on the grill and watch a little football on the TV, and we're in bed by 9:30.
I could almost guarantee you we will not be going anywhere.
But for those of you that do like to get out and party a little bit, be careful, man.
If you do some toot, just stay home.
Yeah. If you're living in, I'm sure we have a fairly rural audience. Hey, get you an Uber. If you do live in an area that has those sorts of things, get you a driver. No sense in making a mistake that
cost you your life pretty much, or somebody else's.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Or just several $1,000s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Sorry, that's the dad in me coming out, I guess.
Yep. Dadgummit. All right. Y'all take care.
See you next week.